everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Anderson. I am a freelance artist and teacher hoping to inspire creativity. If you would like more videos like these, please take a second to like and subscribe down below. It really helps in the algorithm of YouTube to help get my videos seen to more people. If you want to receive notifications of when I go live, please make sure to hit the bell and choose all notifications. If you have any questions during or after the class, make sure to pop a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I can. If interested in learning more about my classes, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And feel free to check me out on Patreon, where I teach exclusive classes to those who support me. In Patreon, I also give traceables for all of my live classes, including this one. Lastly, if you would like to share your work after class with me and others who painted along with us, please head over to Facebook, as I have an artist community where you can share your finished painting with us. I'll leave links for all of that in the description box below. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another YouTube tutorial. I am excited to be painting today, and I hope you are too. Please let me know in the comments down below if this is your first time painting, or if you're painting with a friend, where you're from. I would love to know all those things. But yeah, I'm excited to paint. So go ahead and grab your paints, grab your brushes, grab your water and all that stuff. We're gonna go over some supplies and then we'll get straight to painting. Okay, so just like all of my classes here on YouTube, I do have a traceable for this tutorial. It is not required in order to paint with me, but for some who like to have some sort of outline to go off of for beginners, or if you just want to have something on your canvas before you start, I do have a traceable in my Patreon. It is linked down below in the description, as well as I'll pop it down in the chat. Yeah, you can go ahead and grab that. It's an easy way to support me, as well as you get lots of things for it. So if you do become part of the lilac tier, you will get access to literally everything within that tier, including all of the traceables here for my YouTube classes, as well as some quick tip videos and other fun stuff in there. And then later in this class, I'll show you what else is going on Patreon, some of the recent classes that we're doing, as well as what's not what's next month. I'll be posting that on the 31st. So is that tomorrow? What day is it? Oh my goodness. It is already the 30th. Holy cow. Tomorrow's Halloween. Happy early Halloween for all of you who celebrate that. Yeah, I'll be posting next month's classes tomorrow on my Facebook. So if you are not on my Facebook, if you're not following me there, that is where I post 90% of everything, upcoming classes, new releases, all that stuff is over on my Facebook. I do cross-post some of that stuff to YouTube, but not everything. So Facebook is definitely the place to be for that content, as well as that's also where you can join our Facebook community. You can just look up Samantha Anderson's Artist Community under the Groups tab, and you can join there. You'll get reminders there. On my page, I can't like tag everybody. So if you want reminders of like what's coming up next, definitely join that group. There I get to tag everyone and say, hey, this is our next class. I don't go crazy with the tags, so don't worry about that. I probably tag maybe once, maybe twice a week, depending on the week. But typically that's also where you can share your version of this painting. And yeah, so that's a really fun community that we get to all share our paintings with, share our artwork, and encourage others to do the same. All right, so that is the traceable. That's in the lilac $5 tier, and again, you'll get access to everything. Again, you don't need it, but it is very helpful for some to have that. I will not be using that this class because it's pretty simple. But again, if you need it, that's totally fine. It's not cheating. I like to say it's not cheating. It's just another tool that we use as artists to enjoy the process. And if you enjoy the process of painting more when you have a traceable, then go for it. I use traceables mainly for people and animals, or structures like buildings and things like that. I painted a church a while back. I've painted a castle, and that one actually just sold. Thank you, Emily, for buying that painting. And so sometimes having a traceable for like structures, people, or animals is really, really helpful, because then I get to enjoy the process of painting it, versus being frustrated at the, trying to get everything perfect before I start painting. Plus I have 3 little ones, 7 and under, and sometimes I don't have time to sketch everything. So yeah, that's just something that I provide for my patrons and those who support me. So moving on, I have an 11 by 14 stretched canvas. If you are painting on a different size canvas and you do want a traceable, please just comment on that post. I have a 9 by 12 in there, but if you have something smaller or something larger, then you can comment down there and I can just upload a different version of the traceable that you can use. And then it will be available to anyone else who wants to use that as well. I have 2 things of water, paper towel, a flat palette. It's my favorite palette that I use. And my daughter was playing with my palette knife. Oh dear. We were in here earlier. She had my palette knife and now I don't know where it is. I guess I'll have to use a different one. Oh, kids. Kids. Yep, I don't know where it is. So I guess we'll just be winging it today. That's okay. I'll look for it later. I do have some other palette knives that I can use. So I like to use my small one because it's just like small and quaint and easy. Now it's gonna just bug me that I don't know where it is. Maybe it's on the floor. Give me a second. Let's see. Okay, I can't find it, so I will have to look for it another time. That is okay. We will make do with what we have. So I have a palette knife for pre-mixing my colors, and I tend to like the smaller one because it's just easier to manage on the small space. But that's okay. You will get to witness how having a bigger one still works. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Let's go ahead and go over. Oops. My apologies. Let's go over the colors. Today's palette is really, really pretty. A few weeks ago, or probably last month, I think it was, we did maybe it was 2 months ago, last month I think, we did a different orange and blue sunset, but the colors were a lot more vibrant. So we have the same color palette for today, but the colors are a lot softer and muted. So I'm excited to incorporate that, and there's like stars on this one, so that's really cool. So in terms of colors, it seems like this is kind of dark. Why is this so dark? Well, I'll probably have to adjust this because we're using oranges again, so hopefully it doesn't do what it did in that class, because it was kind of weird. There's like black dots all over. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and grab our colors. Today's class is just a bunch of random notes. I apologize. We're going to do our orange, and we're going to get out both our Ultramarine Blue and our Phthalo Blue. Now, with these colors, these are full body acrylics, so don't let the bottles confuse you. They are not soft body acrylics. They are full body acrylics from Hippie Crafter, and I've been using them for 3 years, I think, and I just 3 or 4 years. Oh, more than that, because I've been here 2 years, about 3 years probably. And I love their paints. I do buy in bulk, like Liquitex Basics White, just because I use so much of it. But they do have bigger bottles that they gave me that I have gone out of it because I use it so often. But they're black and white. I typically will use when I have it. And then I also have raw umber. So the colors today, let me just go over that because it's kind of confusing. I have my white and my black. I have my raw umber, and then I have my 2 blues and my orange, the ultramarine and the phthalo blue. These are all full body acrylics. And then anything else you might want to have is maybe like a yellow, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, that's going to be it for the colors. Anything else that you're going to want to have? I have my normal, I'm just going to go over my normal brushes that I use in pretty much every class. It's going to be my large filbert, my small filbert, and then I have a round brush that I use for like textures. It's like a medium to large brush, and then I have a couple round brushes that I use, different sizes. I use them for different things, and then I also have a liner brush. Just grab your favorite brushes. You are going to need some sort of brush to make clouds, so if you have a favorite cloud brush, feel free to get that out. And we're just going to have some fun with these clouds. If you've never done clouds with me before, you are in for a treat. They are so much fun. And if you have a brush that you can move around in any direction and not worry about messing it up, like this is the texture brush, this is what it is used for. I like that it's all messed up because that gives me a better cloud formation. Get a brush or grab an older brush that you can just kind of go in any which way direction, that you can use for texture, you can use for clouds, and you will not regret it. I love having a brush that I can just rough up and do whatever I want because it's so much fun to get to dry blend. So if you've never dry blended before, it is so much fun. And I love how easy it is to create realistic things with a dry brush. But yeah, okay, that should be it. Let's go ahead and start our painting. Oh, one other thing that you may want to have on hand is something with a stiff bristle. So you can either use a fan brush, like a hog bristle brush or something like that, or a toothbrush for these stars. There's not very many stars, so theoretically you could put them in individually, but I like to use a toothbrush. This is my son's first toothbrush that it was a long time ago, and I've had it for a while. So it's just very, very, I enjoy using it. It reminds me of him, but also a little piece of me, a little piece of him is in all of my classes. Not like literally, it's been washed out many times. Yeah. So I think that's all of the supplies. So let's go ahead and get started. We are not going to be doing a wash with this one, because we're just going to go straight in with our colors. We're going to need to do 2 coats of our blue anyways, and it would be better to do our light colors on a white canvas versus a darkened canvas. So we're just going to go ahead and go in and just do it. If you need some sort of tape or anything like that for the horizon, feel free to get that out. Again, that's just a tool we use as artists. We can use it, we can not use it. Don't feel ashamed if you have to use tape, that's totally fine. Everything is a skill that is learned, or some people are older and have shaky hands and can't help it. So if you need a tool to help you, that is totally fine. There's other reasons why your hand might be shaky, but maybe it's time to go eat something or drink some water. Okay, let's go ahead and get out our color. So we're going to get out our white. Last time I opened this white, it got white all over me. So I'm going to be a little bit more gentle this time around. All right, so we have our white. And I'm going to also get out, I'm going to get out some raw umber. Both my blues. Probably a little bit less of the Ultramarine Blue, or of the Phthalo Blue, I mean. But again, you can always add more to your canvas. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-mix some of these colors. Now, because we're going straight onto a white canvas, they are going to appear lighter in tone than they actually are. So when we put on our second coat, it's going to be a bit darker. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and make the orange first. I'm going to use white, a little bit of brown, and our orange. Yeah, I definitely miss my small one. This is so big. I have no idea where it went, where my thing went, because she was sitting on my lap when I was working a little bit earlier this morning, and she was just playing it. She was trying to like draw, I think, on my clean canvas or whatever, and I was like, nope, that's not what we use for. And I don't know if I took it from her or if she put it down somewhere. I don't know. Oops. Me just bumping into things. Anyways, okay, so this is a pretty soft orange. I'm actually going to get out a tiny bit of yellow because it does go a tiny bit yellow. So maybe I'll grab just a little bit yellow so we can add some of that. I didn't mention yellow in the beginning. I saw it and I thought I mentioned it, but I realized now I didn't. I'm going to grab a little bit of this orange that we made, put in just a little bit of yellow and a little bit more white. And now is the perfect time to just play around with the color. And this is one of the reasons why I like to pre-mix my colors, is because then you can get a sense of the color palette and, you know, do all these colors fit together? You know, are they giving off the right vibe? Is this the color palette that I want? Do they go together? Are things too dark, too light, and so on. Now I'm going to grab some white and just mix whatever's on my palette knife. So it's a little bit on the orangier side, and I'm just going to grab just the slightest bit of blue. Okay, and then now we're going to make our kind of darker blue that's up here. I'm going to do mostly ultramarine blue, I think, with a bit of brown, like the tiniest smidge, a little bit of our phthalo blue to warm it up ever so much, and then I'm going to get out my black, because we're going to need to kind of gray out that blue a bit. So we're just going to add a touch of black in here. And when we first put this on our canvas, it's not going to be as dark as it actually is, because it's going over white. So when we do our second coat, just be ready for it to be a lot darker. So I'm actually going to lighten this up a bit because it's fairly dark, and I don't think I want it that dark. And this is the blue that's also going on the bottom. If you'll note that the bottom and all of the blue that is down there. So it's okay if you need to make just a lot of it or a little bit extra, because we are going to do the bottom coat just like we're doing the top. Okay, I think that is good to start with. I'm gonna go ahead and put this right there. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my large filbert, and we're gonna start in the middle first. So I'm gonna start, I'm gonna get my brush wet just a little bit, wipe it off. And this is pretty much split in half. So I'm just gonna do a semi-straight line. It's okay if it's not perfectly straight. It's mostly bright on the left side, and then on the right side, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of black and brown. We're gonna start kind of muddying up the left side of it by pulling in some kind of brownish color. And you can just kind of mix that in. Because it's pretty bright up here. So now I'm going to go into my lighter orange. If you need to rinse off your brush so you don't have any of that darker brown color in there, feel free to do that. I'm going to grab this lighter color in here. I'm going to come over here into there, and then we're going to go into some white. And remember that it doesn't have to blend perfectly right now. We're just trying to get that first coat on. Gonna pull over a little bit more of that brownish color and mix it in with that color. I'm gonna rinse off again, and I'm just gonna go into my white again. And just mix as much as you can on the canvas. And if you put a color on there that just doesn't really make sense and you want to try again, you can try again with the next coat. If you find that, you know, things aren't mixing well and you need to pre-mix more colors, you can do that. I'm gonna start going into this light blue that's right here. I'm going to start going in with my dark over on the left side. And just kind of blending it into that white color. Now I can see already that I have a lot of color in my blue right here. And what I mean by that is I have, it's very saturated, so it's very bright. And so I'm gonna need to gray that out as I move forward with my second coat. So I'm gonna go in with my lighter blue and whatever's on my brush. And if your blend isn't perfect, that's okay. Again, this is just the first coat. And if you're like me and you just splashed water on your canvas, that might happen, which is totally okay. This is all going to be covered. A lot of this is going to be covered with clouds and things like that, so it's totally okay. I am gonna just put a coat of paint over this so that when I go over it with my second coat, I'm not having to cover that section of the canvas for the first time. So that's fine where it is. So now I know after doing this first coat that I need to go a little bit less green, so I'll probably use less Phthalo Blue and more Ultramarine. And I need to go lighter for longer. So this strip of orange needs to be a little bit lower, like less orange, more white in here, and it needs to be lighter. So the sun has set over on the right side of this canvas, and that means that it's going to be the lightest and most colorful over here on the right side, and the most dull and bland are just like darker over on the left side. But this is a good first coat, and this is a good learning stage for the rest of this. So before we move on, I'm going to go ahead, oops, sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and mix more ultramarine into my my blue, just to kind of start that process of changing that color. And I love ultramarine, or I love Phthalo Blue. So adding Phthalo Blue was probably just my, I get too excited about the blue greens. But this one does not call for that green, that pretty green blue. This one has a nice cool colors to it, and the blue is not a warm blue, it is a cool blue. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add this Phthalo Blue and also some black and white. So the black and white will gray it out, and the ultramarine blue will make it less green. We'll kind of do this as a test run for the bottom as we will for the top. So now that we have that, I'm going to go right here with just a little bit of water and figure out where I want my horizon. I want it a little bit taller. So again, I'm not putting any paint on this. I'm just using water, and it's slowly taking off some of the paint down here. And I'm just using this as a way to kind of create a straight line without actually placing any paint on the canvas. And it would be at this point that if you needed some tape, you can do that. You can also switch your canvas to a vertical to look at your angle from a different point of view, and that will also help make sure that your line is straight across. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a little bit of this blue, my light blue, and I'm going to figure out where my beach is. Now this, it feels like it goes right here, but if you're looking at the angle, part of the beach is all the way here in the corner. All the way in the corner, and it goes up about maybe 1/3, maybe a little higher than 1/3. And it's a pretty straight shot. I'm gonna get a little bit of brown, brown and black, just to place right here. And again, this goes all the way to about 2/3 of the canvas. Remember that this is just the first coat. We are mostly color blocking right now. This is mostly color blocking. Shapes, colors, location. Alright, now you can get out your blue. And we can fill in this whole section with this blue. And if you want it to be a little bit more of a wash, you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more of a wash. And what a wash is it's just a little bit more of a liquid version of your color. So you just add a little bit more water and that becomes your wash. I'm going a little bit thicker on the top because that's where the orange is, and I do want to make sure that I can cover all of that up. You want to make sure that you get into all those little grooves of white. No specks of white. And if it's not perfectly straight all the way across, that's okay too, because we are going to be putting in a little bit of a jetty right here, a little bit of like this is kind of like a very big shore. What is it called? I'm blinking on the what it's called. But the shore goes all the way around, and this is kind of sticking out, that little city. All right, so here we can go ahead and get a little bit of black and blue. A little bit of black and blue, mix it with what's on your brush. And we're just going to kind of mark where those dark spots are. They don't have to be perfect, but we're just kind of trying to mark where those spots are. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit of my light while this is all still wet. Kind of just put in a little bit of light where these lights are, where kind of some of the lighter waves are. And the lighter paint that I'm using is the lightest blue. All right. just put a little bit of blue on this section right here. And I'm going to go ahead and go back over it with the direction of the wave. All right, that is pretty good. I think I'm going to go even more blue for this next coat. Now my camera is showing it a little bit more green than like even what I see. So I'm just going to keep that in mind as we as we move forward. So yeah, what you see on here on the palette is a little bit closer to what I see, although it's making this look a little bit even more purple, so that's like two opposites of the spectrum. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna mix all of this blue in here into this blue, and I'm gonna end up making a couple different blues from this that we can use in both our sky and our ocean. So here's this, and then I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to add some white to it. Let's see, I'm gonna add some, well first I want to see what this looks like up here. Is this still too dark? I think it is, and it's not gray enough. So before I do that, I'm gonna put this back over here. I'm going to add some black and some white to this to really dull it down. Give it some gray. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bunch of white to this. And this is going to be our medium tone and probably what we're going to put as our reflection in the ocean. And then I'm going to take a little bit more and just mix with what's on my palette knife. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you guys to keep mixing. You're also going to need a little bit more of your orange as well as your light orange that we're going to do for the top. While you guys are mixing that, I'm going to go over the classes that we're doing over in Patreon, including or as well as what we did last week. So if you have been on YouTube, you'll know that we painted this beautiful pumpkin spice latte, and I absolutely love how it turned out. You can see my my camera adjust to the colors. This is actually the colors. So yeah, this kind of pretty toned oranges and browns. And we actually did the pumpkin and a lot of the other parts of this kind of in more of like a impressionistic style, which was really fun, especially for the pumpkin, because we were allowed just to kind of look at the colors and the shapes instead of trying to get it like more like realism. And doing like the hearts and the foam and stuff like that was really fun. So yeah, if you would like to go paint this one we did last week, so it's on my YouTube, it's free. You can get a traceable if you signed up today for the traceables. You can also go get the traceable for this one and just have fun with it. So that's what we did last week. And then over in Patreon, we have, I showed this last week too, but we have our beautiful golden retriever. I just love this blonde dog. So fun. But yeah, so if you love dogs or you want to learn how to paint fur or details and things like that, I think this was a 3-hour class-ish. This one is for my magenta tier, so it's only $5 more than the lilac tier for your traceables. So if you signed up for traceables, that's $5. If you pay $5 more, you will get access to every single Friday tutorial that I've ever posted in my Patreon, which is like, I think this is the 70th class that we've done. So there's a lot of classes in there that are just exclusive to my patrons. They're not available anywhere else. Only Patreon, and you can get access to all of those for $10. So, and if you don't want to become a patron and you want just this class, you can pay $15, just a one-time, you'll get it, and that's in my Patreon shop, which is kind of a new thing. So if you just want a one-off and you don't want to have the hassle of signing up or the membership or anything like that, you can just buy this class. But I highly recommend just becoming a patron because you get access to so many other things. So it's up to you how you want to enjoy this painting class. But yeah, this is in our Friday tutorial magenta class. And then we are so close. We are so close to finishing our cobalt sessions. This is the latest on our autumn leaves with river painting. We almost finished it yesterday, but I didn't want to rush like the thing that's closest, the thing that should have the most detail, which are these leaves. So we got a first coat on, and then we're going to put all the detail on next week. So I'm really excited for that. And I just can't wait because we've done so much work just to get to this point, and I didn't want to rush it. So we get to add all the details, mostly all the red leaves. I think everything else for the most part is done. We might add a few more things. But I just love how this has turned out. It feels so autumny and welcoming, and I feel like I can just feel the mist on my face from this waterfall. So I'm really excited to finish this one. And yeah, so stay tuned. If you want to see the full finished one, I will be showing it in next class. But I also will post it on my Facebook. So if you are not on my Facebook, please go over there and subscribe over there or follow me over on Facebook. Okay, so that is that. I'm going to go ahead and move some of this semi-dried orange so I can create some new orange because I barely had any left in mine, so I'm going to have to create new anyways. But I don't want, the last thing I want is dry paint in my new paint. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and create some new oranges, and I think for this next orange I might add a tiny bit of red to it, and that is because I'm noticing there's a bit more of like a pinkish tone to the orange, so I'm just gonna add the tiniest bit of red. So I have my white, I'm gonna go for the lightest color first, which is yellow and orange. So there's that color, and then we're gonna add a little bit of more orange, a little bit of red in this one. We are going to have that orange behind here, so it will be a little bit more on the orange side. Okay. All right, so here are those colors. So I have like a kind of a yellowish orange. It's mostly yellow orange. It's mostly yellow and white, but it's got a tad of orange in there. And then I have orange and a little bit of red, and that'll kind of change the color tone of it and bring out those sunset oranges. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start off with my white color in the middle. So I'm going to need a little bit more of my white. I'm going to grab some of this white, and I'm just going to put this in the middle. I'm going to go a little bit into this. I'm going to go up into the blues first. So I'm going to go into the blue that we created beforehand, where it's kind of just a little bit blue. And I'm mostly focusing on just trying to get that blend. I'm going to go into a little bit of the darker blue. I'm really working on that blend, and then I'm just going to pull that down and blend it in. And now I'm going to go into just a little bit of that darker blue, and I'm going to pull that over a little bit so we can blend it over. I'm really just focusing on the blues right now. know why it's showing it as green as it is. This is weird to me. Because it's got black in it. Okay, I think, I'm looking at, I think I went a little bit too gray. So now I'm gonna work on putting a little bit more color in there. I'm just gonna go in straight with my blue. And this should, because this is all still wet, it's going to just blend in. I'm going to work slowly back into the colors that we previously put on the canvas. And I'm going to rinse out my brush because I now have too much like dark blue in it, so I got to get that dark blue out. I'm going to go in with my lightest white blue. Long strokes. And what's nice about a background like this is that there's going to be lots of clouds, so it doesn't have to be like perfectly blended. Just do the best you can. And now I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to work down. So I'm going to grab this white. I'm going to work it back up a bit because I know that this is still wet. At least for me it is. And I'm going to go down into this orange, my lightest orange. Don't forget to go over the edge. So now that we've gone down a bit, we can go into our pinkish orange. And slowly work up. Long strokes going all the way up into that yellowish orange. Don't go too far up because you don't want to go into that blue. I'm going to take this color and add a little bit of black and brown to it. Maybe a tiny bit of blue. Yeah, just a tiny bit of that background blue. We're going to bring it over about 1/3 of the way. And if you need just a little bit of water to help blend this, and I'm just going to use this space right here to blend these together. I'm going to go a little bit into that blue. Essentially, the color over here is just a brown and gray version of what's over here. So in order to mix it together, you can just rinse your brush out, go back over the color that you're trying to mix into. You can just grab some water and do it that way as well. Grab some blue, grab some dark blue. All right. I'm just going to go back in to try to blend this a little bit. Remember, just add whenever you're blending and you don't know what to add, just add the color that you're trying to blend into, and that will help blend the color. All right, so that is going to be my background. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our brush to add some clouds, and this is the fun part. So first we're going to get some of our blue and mix it with a little bit of black, a little bit of white, maybe a little bit lighter. That's fine. And I'm going to start over here where it's a little bit wet. We're going to do some wispy clouds first. So I'm going to go a tiny bit darker. Up here. And you can do little strokes, or you can do big long strokes. If you want it more wispy, just go over it a couple times and it will kind of blend together. You can roll your brush as you go. to get a little bit of a darkness to it. You're just adding little bits of that. And before we do anything up here, if you do plan on doing anything up there, you're gonna grab a little bit of your, dip about halfway of your toothbrush. And I'm not gonna go for the white, I'm gonna go for the lightest blue. Mix this together until it's kind of bubbly. And then we're just going to lightly sprinkle the top of the canvas. And if any of these are too much, you can always just wipe them off. And there you go. So now for the next step, we have some really fluffy clouds. These clouds are darker. So we're going to go into our black, but we're also going to add our orange, and this is going to create the color for our clouds. It might seem weird. It might seem, what are we doing? This color is weird. And you're right, it kind of is. But that's the name of the game, because there's so much orange in this. So our moon goes about right here in between these clouds. So before I do anything, I'm just going to put a little tiny moon right there, just so I know that that is where it is, so I don't cover it up with clouds. And I'm going to do this with a liner brush. And if at any point you need to come by and refine your moon, just get a clean brush and you can wipe away any part that you don't want. You can always come back. And since I'm here, I'm just going to finish the moon. And if you haven't noticed, you actually can see the entire moon. It's just not all of it is white or being reflected upon. All right. I might come back later and liven it up a bit once it's dried. There we go. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's go ahead and do the cloud. So you're gonna grab your brush, and let's just go ahead. Let's start with the back ones. I'm gonna add a little bit more of my orange to it. Ooh. Me dropping stuff on myself. And I'm gonna start with this medium one, this middle one. And I'm going to focus on the top first. And I'm just focusing on the tops of it and just filling it in. And that's pretty much all for that side. Over here, we're probably going to we're going to stay the same color, but they're going to fade in a bit more. Actually, no, we're going to get a little bit darker. Let's see. A little bit darker because it's kind of harder to see them. I'm going to go all the way down to the water line. This one goes pretty high. We're just gonna kind of fluff up the top a bit. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to add a little bit more black and a little bit more of our blue. So to make it a little bit darker. I'm gonna do a couple more. Again, really only focusing on the top section. If you need a smaller brush, feel free to grab one. I think I might grab a smaller brush just for this portion of it. There's one over here. I'm just kind of dabbing a little bit. This one has kind of a flat bottom. And these clouds don't have to look exactly like this, of course. It's just to give you an idea if you're not used to doing clouds and you need ideas on shapes. I'm going to go a little bit wetter for this one right here. It's a little bit wispier. It's going to do a little bit of a couple lines here and there. And then a couple small ones here. In reality, they're just a bunch of dots, but all together they make clouds. And now that this side is dry, you are going to add a shadow on the left side. Of this, and I'm going to go ahead and as much paint out of my brush because I need my brush to have as little to no paint in it as possible. And it's mostly just getting darker over on the left side of here. Alright, so now we're going to use that same blue, or like dark bluish gray, to put a couple other ones up here. And so I need to go a little bit darker. I'm going to add a lot more black to this. If you're not really sure about the randomness that comes with making clouds like this, you can also just let your brush do it all. So you can come in and you can just place your brush and push up, and it'll create those clouds for you. And we're just going to continue. All right, so I'm just going to lighten some of these up just ever so slightly. All right. You can add other little tiny ones or as much as you want. You can wiggle your brush. Just let them appear. Just like that. All right, and that is how you make a sky full of clouds. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create that black city that's right there. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of water, either a flat brush or a liner brush, totally up to you and your skill level of what you want to accomplish in this. I'm going to go ahead and just make this flat line. I'm just focusing on the flat line first. And once you have that flat line that you like, you can come back and add either buildings or trees or whatever else you want to that top. You could just go up and down, make it random. I'm just kind of dabbing. And then I'm going to come across with my blue. And we're going to create another coat of this blue right here. And as we're doing our second coat of this blue, you can go ahead and add in your light. I will say that on the very edge of this is going to be a slightly darker ridge because the color is more concentrated, so it is going to appear darker. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that. So while this is wet, you can add in a little bit of that lighter blue if you would like. Kind of having like a middle tone is good. I'm just going to keep putting in these colors till we have a solid background, essentially. And I'm really just trying to focus on the different colors that I see. It's a little bit of a black line right here, and a black line up here. There's some dark blue right here. All right. So there we have that. I'm going to go ahead and place a fairly dark blue line on the very edge of this. And I'm going to grab some more Ultramarine Blue. We have about half an hour to finish out our C. So I'm going to grab some Ultramarine Blue and mix it in with this dark blue sea color that I already had. And I'm going to use my flat brush. And I'm just going to put in, while this is kind of still wet a little bit, a couple, I'm just going to start making some simple lines, not real amounts of detail. And as it gets closer, I'm going to start looking at really like which way the waves are going. I'm just gonna add these everywhere, and the closer you get, the more you're gonna be able to see all little tiny shifts in color. Not necessarily color, but like light and darkness. And we can always come back with more of either of those. So don't worry too much if you cover up too much of your lightness. You'll be able to come back and add a little bit of that back in. I'm gonna add a little bit of detail on this right here. Go back into my blues. And I'm constantly going into my water so that my paint flows nicely off of my brush. All right, so I'm going to just add a little bit more detail in these lighter spots. And I'm going to go in with some black. And try to kind of figure out where the rest of this stuff is. So I'm gonna mix in some blue with the lightest orange I have. And I'm gonna put that right under the moon. So wherever your moon is, I'm gonna pull that out a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle that all over the wet sand. And I'm going to slowly incorporate some blue into the wet sand reflection. And we're going to go ahead and do this first because this needs to go a certain way, and I need to go, the direction needs to be going like almost vertical, sorry, almost horizontal. So mine's not going horizontal enough. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of different highlight colors from these two colors right here. And really try to make them go almost horizontal. gonna pull that direction. And right below, I'm gonna add a little bit of an orange, that same like pinky orange hue. And then over here, we're gonna do a little bit more of a pinky orange hue. That's where a lot of the orangeness is. Alright, so in order for us to kind of visualize how this actually looks, we're going to grab some black and add a little bit of this blue to it, maybe a tiny bit of brown. And we're going to paint this in. I think I'm going to add just the tiniest bit of white to it. Maybe I'll add some orange to it, make it a little bit warmer. And this comes all the way, oops, almost messed that up. This comes all the way over here. It kind of has a little bit of a blue hue to it, or a purple hue. I'm not totally sure what I'm seeing, but it's definitely not brown. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the undercoat here. All right, so that is pretty good. We can kind of brush in maybe a little bit. All right, so that is pretty much that. I'm gonna add a little bit more of a light coat. Maybe a little bit of white. I'm going to go ahead and add the little reflection of the moon. Right there. All right, now for the rest of this, now that that has kind of, most of this has dried, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some black, and I'm going to add it directly to the spots that are really, really dark. Like right here. So just some spots that are really, really dark. I think I might even do a really dark blue at this point. So with just black and ultramarine blue. And add a little bit of a wave right here. I'm going to go ahead and work on this wave right here. And right now I'm just kind of looking at shapes. And let's see. I'm going to just kind of adding, this is kind of one that's like building up. So I'm kind of just going to put a bunch of little C's right there. And then maybe a tiny bit of a white right here. Not white, but just like a little bit lighter. And let's go ahead and put in some of our our light here. So I have this color right here. It looks like I'm putting the lightest version of this on here, and I am not. I'm putting the second to lightest version I have on here. And let's see. This version right here needs to be a little bit more subtle. And I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of darkness to some of this blue, because the parts over here that need some lightening don't need to be that light. Over here it's going to be a little less line and a little bit more just like sections of color, like blobs of color rather than lines, because you're seeing it a little bit more straight on versus like you're kind of seeing it from down versus like straight on, like out. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of some highlight down here. And I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit extra highlight right under the moon. Right under the moon. It's a little extra of that highlight. Don't cover up all of the darkness. You don't want to cover up it all. But there is going to be a little bit of an extra light part. And I'm going to go ahead and rinse out this brush. And I'm going to grab some of my light pink color. Maybe add a little bit of white to it. And I'm going to add this down the middle. And I'm making sure to go back and forth. So I will need to go back in. I will need to go back in and add a little bit of darkness. But then we're also going to add a little bit of light on some of these spots. I'm gonna go in and add just a couple sparkles that are maybe a little bit lighter, just so they're not all the same. Alright, so for this section, it's a little bit rougher. So just as a last little detail that we're gonna do, I'm just gonna grab this color, maybe add a little bit of that blue in there. And I'm gonna kind of give a little bit of a rough water look to some of this. Just so it doesn't all look so perfect, because nature is not that, right? And it's not just the light, you can do it with the dark too. Alright, so real quick, I'm just going to go back over some of these dark areas and make them just a little bit darker, stand out just a little bit more. And I think that's pretty much it. And come in and put a couple more dark pieces in this little mix here. All right. Just gonna mix this up a little bit. At this point, I'm just kind of trying to make this part look natural. We have a couple highlight sections that we can do. We can extend out. And I think I'm just going to extend that into here. All right. All right, and there we have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this class. I will be back next week with another one just for you guys. So if you want to join me for that, make sure to go onto my Facebook. You can join my Facebook community over there, and yeah, you can share this class as well as any other class that you decide to do with me. At this point, we are pretty much done. I just added a couple little rocks in there at the very, very base. And you can even come in at the very, very edge of the water and add a little line if you would like to, just to make it look really nice and clean. All right, and there you have it. If you want to go ahead and add any of the details in the back for the little town that's in there, you can just do that either with yellow, white, or a combination of the two. I'm just going to put in a couple little lights back here. Couple dimmer, a couple more prominent. All right, and now there's just a whole city back here. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun with this one. If you want to join me for other classes, please make sure to subscribe. And yeah, other than that, we will see you in the next one. Same time, same place. We'll see you then. Bye, guys.